All right, this video is going to be all about most systems are built wrong, but how and why. And we're going to go over several steps that will allow you to identify some of the problems and hopefully get them corrected. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. And if by all means, if you see something I've done wrong, let me know about it in the comments. I'll be glad to correct it. All right, so let's get started. First of all, four of the largest mistakes that are made is buying equipment first. People see a deal, they got to jump in right away and get the deal. And a lot of the times this is a mistake because you don't really know that you need that piece of equipment yet. So that might not be such a good idea. Then they plan later after they've purchased the equipment. And that also can lead to things and problems. Copying YouTube builds step by step, unless the use case is exactly what you need, it's really not a good idea a lot of the times. And then last, wrong expectations. And this one sometimes is a hard thing to swallow. People expect X and they build a system to do Y, and then they wonder why it can't do X. And we'll go over some of those expectations a little bit later. Let's move on to the problems. A lot of the problems are you end up with batteries that are too small, you end up with inverters that are too small, you can't power the loads that you're looking for, or if you don't have a battery that's large enough, it doesn't run for long enough. Then you end up with not enough solar and you can't recharge fast enough to recover, and you don't have any type of growth plan. So today what you're planning for ends up not being what you need tomorrow, and you have no way to get from here to there, and you have to start over, build a new system, and expend a whole lot of money to do the whole thing again. With a little bit of planning, we can prevent most of this. All right, so let's start off by talking a lot more about the wrong size. So let's look at the first item on the list for wrong size, battery too small. Now what often happens here is people will buy a 100 amp hour battery and think they have this huge battery. And then they buy an inverter for, let's say, a 6,000 watt inverter. And that battery can't supply enough power to run that inverter. And therefore, that wrong size, that wrong mismatch causes it to shut down and unexpectedly not work the way we would think so. Or the inverter's too large. Now, these need to really be paired. You need to find out how much energy you need and then determine what kind of inverter you need to provide that amount of power for the devices that you have. It isn't one size fits all here, and it's very, very critical that you get both of the items correct. Now, moving on from there, if you don't have enough solar to recharge your batteries, a lot of the times the mistake is that people build this huge system and they don't realize the demand that they have for power and energy, and then they get down the road a little bit further and realize they don't have enough solar panels to actually charge those batteries up enough. And then the last one is they have no growth plan. If you get into a system that barely satisfies your needs today and you don't think about tomorrow, or you don't think about how you would expand for tomorrow, then a lot of the times you end up pigeonholed into a system that you can't expand enough to do what you want it to do in your current state, whereas it worked just fine in your previous state. All right, let's talk about bad wiring, because this is the #1 cause of problems with solar systems. It's the #1 cause of fires and issues with solar systems. So we're going to walk through here and talk about some of the more important issues with it and some of the less important issues with it. So let's start off with the wrong wire size. The wrong wire size can lead to fires, it can lead to melting, it can lead to a lot of different problems. Voltage drop, causing your inverter to crank out more amps, and then causing all kinds of issues there. So you need to make sure that you're watching very closely for the amperage that you're pulling, that the wire can support it. Next is missing fuses. Now, a lot of what comes along with the wrong wire size is going to be additional heat, a different amperage, a different problems like that. But if you don't have the fuses in the system to protect those wires in the first place, then those issues will cause you big problems. Now, fuses and that type of stuff are there to protect the wiring and to ensure that when you do exceed the expectations of those systems that can cause fires and melting and issues, that you have handled it in the fuse breaks being the weakest link as opposed to the wire that runs through your entire RV or house. Loose connections are probably the largest problem in a solar system. And I can't even tell you how many times I've built a solar system, put everything together, double checked everything as I went. When I got to the very end, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back one more time and just check all my connections, and I'll find something loose that I missed or that didn't get quite done the way I think it should have been done the first time. So I can't stress this one enough that this is very, very common. Poor layout can lead to these types of issues. Wrong wiring size because you don't want to run the big wires for the wrong distance because things aren't close together when they should be, or wrong fuses and loose connections can all be assisted by having a poor design, and therefore the expense of maintaining the system or the ability to use a bus bar as opposed to just run it direct becomes an issue because now you have the items in the wrong place or too far away to accommodate you appropriately. So it's very, very important here that you make sure that you handle these wire sizes, missing fuses, loose connections, and layout, because you're going to deal with voltage drops, heat, melting terminals, maintenance nightmares, and that type of stuff going forward. All right, let's talk a little bit about battery mistakes. Some of the battery mistakes is the wrong chemistry. You need to make sure that all the batteries in your system are either all lithium iron phosphate, all lead acid, or whatever chemistry it is. Mixing these chemistries can be very complicated. It's in some cases it can be done if you understand the chemistry, understand the charging profiles. Some of them have different peak charging, they have different discharging, and they have different charging profiles together, meaning you can't charge them all at the same time and they won't discharge all correctly together. So you need to make sure that either A, my suggestion is you keep all the chemistries the same in your system. That doesn't mean you can't use lead acid if you've got a large lead acid inventory. Use the lead acid, and when you're done using the lead acid, switch to a lithium iron phosphate or a different chemistry. Don't try to combine the two. Mixing batteries can be very detrimental to your system, very much like the wrong chemistry. Mixing a lot of different variations of batteries can cause some types of state of charge out of syncness. It's not a huge problem anymore with lithium iron phosphate, but it can be a huge problem with lead acid batteries and other chemistries. So just being aware of it and make sure you understand what you're connecting if you're going to have a mixture of batteries. Another common battery mistake is the wrong charging profile. Either not charging up enough, either not staying at that charge state long enough for the batteries to balance, or not understanding the charge profile itself. It's very important that you understand the charge voltage, the absorption voltage, and the float voltage so that you understand how the battery's chemistry works. These can be different from lead acid to lithium iron phosphate to several other types of battery types. So you want to make sure you have the right charging profile for your battery type. Poor balancing can lead to the appearance of a degradation of batteries. It's quite common that as batteries get out of sync, that the lowest common denominator is what gives up first, allowing you to think that your battery bank is dead prematurely or losing capacity, when in reality, the one battery or the two batteries that are lagging behind in state of charge and out of balance may just be stopping early, causing all the other batteries that are in series with it to no longer function. Poor battery balancing can lead to a lot of problems. It's not near the issue it used to be on like a lithium iron phosphate battery system anymore, but if you're running batteries in series, if you're running two 12 volts in a 24 volt system or four 12 volts in a 48 volt system, any type of series type system, even with lithium iron phosphate, battery poor balancing is something you're going to need to deal with. All right, let's talk a little bit about expectations, because there is a lot of wrong expectations out there, and usually this leads to dissatisfied solar system installations when you're done. So you need to understand your expectations. Watts are not watt hours. 1,000 watts of usage for an entire hour is 1 kilowatt hour, meaning you used 1,000 watts for a full hour. Clouds matter. Commonly, people don't understand that just because you have 1,000 watts of solar doesn't mean you get 1,000 watts of power all the time. Clouds can have a huge effect on your solar system and change your input dramatically. Bad weather, cloudy weather, and sunny weather, all are three different things, and depending upon the type of panels you got, the quality of the panels, the efficiency of the panels, and how those panels work, you can see dramatic or less dramatic changes in this. AC uses a lot of power. AC uses power in two ways, and this is one of the things that most people don't understand. Everything in your system has a cost to run it. All of these electrical devices don't run for free, and all of them are running off of this battery. That means when you take DC power out of your battery, convert it with your inverter into AC power, that conversion cost can add up sometimes to 8 to 10% of the amount of power being used. These type of consumptions or hidden costs to operating a system can lead to bad expectations and not understanding what your power consumption uses are really going to be, as opposed to just the device you have. So understanding the devices is the first step. Understanding the system and its use is the second step, and how those underlying costs of operating all this equipment can affect that battery bank. Last but not least, and I think I probably covered this already, there is no free energy. And that means that nothing that you're going to do with this system is going to operate with no energy. You are going to be using the energy in the battery to run the balancer. You're going to be using the energy in the battery to run the inverter, to run the charger, to do the calculations, to report the statistics. All of that is using energy. It may not have a wall plug plugged in somewhere that you can calculate it, but it is part of the consumption or the idle consumption or the non-idle consumption of a system. Understanding this consumption is extremely important. And I'll have a video out on this in the next couple of weeks that talks about how dramatic this consumption can be sometimes. All right, let's talk about the right way to build a system. Now that we know a lot of the problems, knowing and understanding the right way and the right order to do things, there are 1,000 different opinions on this. This one is mine. This one I have found to work best for me, and this is the one that I teach here on the MattMan Solar channel. All right, so the first one is understand your loads. Start with what you need to power and list out which of those loads are essential, which of those loads are not essential. In other words, if you're looking to run a house and you have a disaster and you need to run on your solar system, which of those, like your refrigerator, your CPAP machine, would be essential, and which of those are like the PlayStation that you don't need to have during that time in order to survive. So go through the loads and really truly understand what the uses of each one of them is. Next, you're going to want to understand how much battery do you need to supply the power for those. Now, keeping in mind here that you're not looking at strictly just understanding what the loads are for that. All the equipment that's operated to get to those loads and to produce the power for those loads, and to store those loads, all has a cost. You need to understand that too and add that into your battery bank so that you can provide the energy to operate the equipment, not necessarily operate the devices you want to run. Third, understand the amount of solar that you need to generate to appropriately size the solar systems to allow you to replenish your batteries in the appropriate amount of time. It happens all the time that people build solar systems and they need a lot of power to run an air conditioner or something like that. But then they think, oh, well, I've got 2 solar panels and they're big, they'll be just fine. And they don't realize they don't have enough power to recharge the battery bank that they built. And so it may take them 3 or 4 days before they can run their air conditioner again. And this can lead to some really bad expectation feelings when you're done, where you feel disappointed in your system isn't working, when in reality your system is working. You just didn't get the solar panel sizes right. And it's easier to deal with these problems up front because there are alternatives to many of them, but you have to understand the problem before. All right. An inverter. So once you have the loads, the battery, and the ability to recharge it, then you're going to want to know what size inverter do you need to go back all the way to step one and provide energy to all of those loads? This allows you, now there is some aspects of number 4 that you will need to answer number 2. So it may require that you figure out what the loads are, figure out what size battery you need, figure out what size solar panels you're going to need to charge that battery, then figure out what kind of inverter you're going to want to provide all that power so that you can provide enough of it to run all your devices. But then analyze what the cost of running that inverter and the equipment that you've designed, and you may need to go back and redesign your batteries to accommodate that extra power or your solar panels to accommodate the battery change. And then last but not least is wiring and protection. This step is super important, and you'll hear me say it 1,000 times. Just because we're DIY does not mean we can be reckless or dangerous while we're building a system. Solar systems can be very dangerous, and you're dealing with a lot of electricity and very high amperages in many cases. You need to understand the right wiring sizes, you need to understand the right fuses and breakers to put in place, and you need to understand the consequences of not doing those items so that you don't make those critical mistakes that cost you an entire system, or worse yet, a life. These 5 steps, and in this order, and sometimes going back and revisiting steps to make sure that you've got everything right, will get you to a pretty solid system. So here are some of the key takeaways that you're going to want to take with you away from this video. 1, just don't buy the first equipment that you see. 2, design around the loads that you have. Take step 1, take the time to understand the loads that you need and the load you might want to get once you have a system. 2, leave room for growth. Make sure that the system that you're purchasing can go larger than you need it to go. And even if you're not thinking you're going to want to go larger, usually what happens is people get a system and then they always want to add something later, because it is easy to say I can live without X and I can live without Y, until you have to live without X and you have to live without Y. And then 3, this will allow you to build it once and build it right if you follow these steps. If you have questions, problems, suggestions, issues with the content, please, my name is Matt. Leave them in the comments below. That is what this channel is about. I take all the different types of solar equipment that I can, I demonstrate it, I test it, I show it to you. Hopefully this is the kind of content that interests you, and if it is, like and subscribe, and if you have a friend that's interested, send it over to them also. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.